104.7 The Cave, Mike
There
the
we go.
Intern, Jay
There it
Stevens
goes.
in the
There
studio.
it goes
It
again.
is Dark Side of the Stream, episode 87.
Woo!
You would think by now we'd have a hang on this, but
No, not at all.
just like anything we do here in the cave,
the house of cards.
we're just trying
always a house of
to
cards.
keep this ship floating. And
as long as it works today, that's all that matters.
And we'll deal with it tomorrow. I'm Mike the Intern. This is Jay Stevens, and this week was my pick in our 87th episode of Dark Side of the Stream. It is a documentary on HBO Max called Fireboys.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good story. Very interesting. I'm glad something like this is out there.
It tells the story of a place in California called Pine Grove, where youth between the ages, I'm assuming, of like 18 and 21, maybe the early 20s, can go to essentially train to fight wildfires in California. They deal with this
if you're
every
locked
year.
up, if the kids are locked up in prison, right?
And we're talking, I mean, they go around the room in the beginning, and we're talking about violent offenders here. We're talking about attempted robbery,
carjacking, shooting,
murder, attempted murder, big time stuff. So you apply for it, that you get to meet with counselors. And then if you get it, you go and do you're basically CAL FIRE, but you're working off your restitution, and we'll get into all that stuff and the story. But
you can get your time, your sentence
shortened by doing this. Most of these kids only have a couple years left, so they basically get to be in the program for a couple years and then they get out. But we'll get to that in a second. Before we do that, though, the worst punish. Okay, now, little asterisk here. Jay and I are both, middle class white kids, right? So it's a little bit different of a situation for when kids like us get in trouble in what we do as kids, because most of the time with us, it's just boys being boys. But sometimes idiots, right? When you have a different situation, it's not the same, and that in itself is a tarnish on the justice system, in my opinion.
Well, I think it's also just not everybody starts from the same spot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Some of these kids' stories, the dad's incarcerated.
Yeah.
All the brothers are incarcerated.
Yeah, dude. There's that one kid who's like, my dad's been in and out. My brother's got life. My younger brother's got 15 years.
You can't, it's not always just pull yourself up from your bootstraps and go. Some people start from a negative starting position.
That's the only way they feel like their way out, which is unfortunate. But again, back to what I was saying. For a couple of white kids that were middle class, what's the worst trouble you ever got into?
Drunk and skateboarding off of a cop car.
Ooh.
And then when the cops chased us and we got caught, I had throwing stars in my back pocket, a couple of Chinese throwing stars.
Oh, no. So you were carrying?
Well, I guess. I was just being a dumb kid, but yeah.
So did they lock you up or what?
They took us in. My buddy, who was very intoxicated and was a much more troublemaker than I was quite a spectacle. And he stayed a little longer than I did. Basically, they pulled us in and said, "Who can we call?" I'm like, "You guys can call my mom." And so my mom came to pick us up because she was the coolest mom of them all. And my buddy stayed the night there, entertaining the cops, I would assume, all night long. He had a hard run.
Oh, man.
He was trying to fight them all.
Where's he? Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
We were talking high school right here?
High school. Going into 10th grade, I think somewhere around that range. Summertime, in LA.
Damn.
Yeah, we thought they took our friends, so we thought we decided to jump on the cop cars and skateboard off the top and flip them off. And
not a good idea.
And then run. And then they were faster than us.
Yeah, even on skateboards.
Terrible, I was a super good kid, but yeah, that was the worst thing for sure.
Define super good.
Any trouble?
Just kidding.
No fights ever. No trouble. Just I was a chill kid, except for
that incident.
Night, that fateful 4th of July night.
The only time. Well, my turn. We were going to see Radiohead in Colorado. Got popped on I-70. A little bit less than an ounce of marijuana. I went to jail for the night. Woke up the next day. My buddy we were seniors. I just turned 18, so I went to jail. He went to juvie because he was 2 weeks shy of being 18. So he had to wait for his grandparents to drive all the way to the middle of Kansas. Waukene, Kansas, stand up is where it happened. And I went to jail, got released, didn't know where he was, didn't know where the car was. figured he was in trouble. I was going to have to go back home. So what did I do? I called my cousin Lace in Denver and said, hey, I just got arrested. I'm still wanting to go to this concert. Can I just stay with you? She said, I'll pick you up at the bus station. Walked to a gas station, bought a bus ticket, jumped on the bus, went all the way to Denver.
Wow,
she picked me up the next day,
dude.
partied with her and her girlfriends all week, saw Radiohead at Red Rocks, got on the bus, went back home. Now, the jail portion, it wasn't great, but I was more mad about how the whole thing went down because it was stupid. And it was actually illegal search and seizure. So we got it dropped. I only had to pay court costs and it was off my record because it was dirty how the whole thing went down. We weren't doing anything wrong. Of course, we had that. It's legal now. It is what it is. It wasn't legal then, whatever. It is what it is. We weren't doing anything wrong. We really had no reason to be pulled over in the first place. That's a whole nother story I'm not going to get into. But what I am going to say is the punishment that I got out of that was having to sit on a Greyhound bus sold out from Denver to Kansas City. That was the worst thing. That was the worst punishment. That was worse than going to jail.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go.
Horrible.
You served your time.
It was a 24-hour bus ride, and it was awful.
Well, that's diehard. You should like email Radiohead and tell them about the story. That's diehard fan, bro.
They know me by now. I've seen them 7 times, but yeah,
that's diehard fan, bro.
Anyway, those are light sentences compared to what these guys got, and we'll talk more about that next. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. Like the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio. Dark Side of the Stream, episode 87, discussing Fireboys on HBO. So we've come clean on our worst offenses and the time we spent in the slammer.
You know, these kids, though, it's good. It gives them an option. It gives them some form of light at the end of the tunnel, which sometimes that's all somebody needs, man.
So it starts with basically 2 stories. You've got the kid who's about ready to graduate from the program. He'd become a captain. They called him the first man.
And he did a really good job. It seemed like
it blows my mind that spoiler alert, if at the end of this kid,
he should be able to just go get a job with the fire department.
His ass off.
The guy said he did a great job there.
And his captain was like, out of years and years and hundreds of kids, there's one kid that I would stick my neck out for, and that's this kid. And they tried everything they could to get him in Cal Fire, but because he had a violent offense felony, they wouldn't let him in. You were talking about a state that literally is burning every year that needs guys like this.
You got this guy who's willing to work hard for $1, man.
After they were towards the end of the documentary, they were talking to him on the phone, and he was working security, making ends meet. And he goes, I would give up everything I have right now and go back to making $1 an hour to go back and fight fires. Yeah. And the state of California says, sorry, that's on your record. They need to work that. That needs to be changed.
They need to work that. If the kids go through that program, they should literally be put into jobs right when they
go. If they show that they had done what
if they're doing a good job and they've turned their life around.
Now, granted, they did have another guy who had gone through the program and was actually currently working Cal Fire. And he showed a lot of these kids what they could do to go into it.
Force department.
And so he, again, with the other dude who couldn't get in, it was also on him too, because he had been in prison for like 4 years. He didn't want to leave his family, and they had jobs available for him.
Have some jobs.
He just had to move, and he didn't want to do it.
So he should have. Yeah, should have
moved. The mentality of I don't want to work. I'd work for $1 a day if I could work here, but I don't want to drive 2 hours away to work. That was kind of, I get it. I feel bad for you, Chewy, but at the same time, it's like, dude, if you really want it that bad, you're going to be driving home every weekend to see your family.
That's some hard work these kids are doing, man.
Dude.
Right?
Digging that dirt, hiking with all your
right
equipment,
alongside
fire
the flames, like the heat.
Dude, those hikes are brutal with just packs on your back, let alone fire gear. But they did it, and they risked their lives for it. And we'll talk about how much they actually get paid to do it next. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7. 104.7 The Cave, Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens. We're back in the studio. It's Dark Side of the Stream, episode 87, discussing Fireboys on HBO Max. So, we met these two kids, one that was going into the program, one that was about to graduate. And it was interesting at the beginning because with the kids going in, they show them what they're going to have to do. You get them training. They're like dying, running laps, all this stuff. They're not used to that. But it's the trainer's job to get them ready to go fight fires. And if they're not prepared physically, they're going to die. It's a fact. And they don't mess around. I mean, this is a privilege to go do this. And they got two kids at the beginning that go in and they're training them and they're doing the CPR stuff. And one of the kids gets mad
and a bad attitude,
because she makes him do it again. And he cops an attitude. And that it wasn't a big deal. He just goes, "You want me to do this again?"
He kind of had a crappy attitude,
but he did. And the other guys could see it too.
Yeah.
And you could see it in their eyes when he was talking to them. Like, they're like, "Dude, shut up, bro. Just keep your mouth shut and do what you're told if you want to be here." Nope. He was gone by the end of the day. They don't mess around. They kicked his butt back to the correctional facility, and that was it. No question. But then they stayed on with this dude and he busted his butt. And by the end of the documentary, he was a chainsaw guy.
He became the first man, right?
Yeah. And so he was basically going down the path and doing what he needed to do. So it's a really good tale of redemption. And again, you're giving these kids an opportunity to do something with their life that they can feel some sort of purpose. For a lot of the times, these kids, the reason they get into what
and
they're
rather
doing
than staying in a little cell, they're in a pretty chill environment.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a camp,
it's like a summer camp
good
type
food.
place.
Better
food, right?
Better food,
that burrito that they made, that massive huge burrito, right?
I would definitely.
They threw everything inside, and I was like, "What is this?" And then I'm like, "Okay, I bet that's probably pretty good, actually."
I know it
macaroni and cheese, flaming Cheetos, like everything inside that burrito.
But when you are sentenced to a crime like carjacking or attempted burglary or whatever, sometimes you have to pay what's called restitution, and it's a lot of money in some cases, thousands and
20
thousands.
grand,
a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you're all, and some people probably think, well, how the hell is this guy going to pay 30 grand, 50 grand in restitution?
Yeah, they usually don't. Right.
Well, if they're in the justice system, they will, because they'll get a job. Whether that's making license plates or, in this case, fighting fires, you get paid a wage, but it's not like minimum wage. And in this case, these kids, they get paid $1 an hour to go fight fires, and that goes towards their restitution. They get some of it back so that they can buy flaming hot Cheetos and make giant burritos.
And a lot of times, they go half to restitution, half to them, and then they're getting $1 an hour no matter what they're doing. If they're doing the cleanup work on the side of the road, but if they fight a fire, for each time you fight a fire, you'd get 8 days credited off your sentence. So the more fires you fight, you can rack up the 8 days.
And they were all, every time it happened, they were ready to go.
They were pretty excited to go.
They wanted to do it.
Some of them were all in on
and it was like I said, it's a really cool story of redemption. It was hard to hear what some of these kids were involved in. I mean, some of them were 13 when they got started doing this stuff.
Doing crime, and
it's just unbelievable. But it's cool that this thing exists in California. I know it definitely has its flaws. I wish they had it was almost as if once you reach the end, it's like, okay, good luck. And I think
it should be a better support on the way out.
If this is about rehabilitation, there should be like a little bit more follow through.
Just give them a job
with the states, because you saw it in the trainers and the guys they were fighting fires with. They love these guys. I mean, they treated them like they were just like on the crew with them, because they have to.
They became certified basically as the same certification as firefighters.
If you're talking about putting your life on the line, you want to make sure everyone's on the same plate, and they definitely did a good job with that. I think the state fails them in the sense that once they get out, there should be a way for them to continue doing it if they want to. If they don't want to do it and they want to go do something else, cool. That's great. Thanks for your help while you're here, but a lot of times I think the follow through with this was definitely lacking. And I mean, the pay is definitely some point of contention, but you're in prison and you're getting paid to do something and time off. So in essence, there's an argument there too. But my biggest thing was the follow through after you got out. Because some of these guys, I want to fire as my firefighter. Yeah, you watch them work, dude.
They've got the skills.
They know what to do.
Why not? I
mean, it is what it is. Weird, we'll talk about how many fire suits or fire helmets we give this documentary next Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio one more time. Dark Side of the Stream, episode 87, Fireboys HBO Max. So how many forest fires would you give this documentary?
How many macaroni and cheese, ramen, flaming hot Cheetos, chili burritos am I going to give this one?
We got to do this ourselves.
I'm going to go with 3 only because it was very slow moving. You told me how long it was. I couldn't believe you. I thought it was 4 hours long. It was all right. Come on, let's just pick up the pace a little bit, guys, please. But the story was very interesting, and I'm very glad a program like that exists. Again, I wish the exit strategy was a little bit better.
Hey, did you catch the name of the guy who wrote this thing?
Dickler. Or produced it or whatever.
No, it was directed by
by
Drew Dickler on there. I was like, oh, poor kid.
How am I going to forget that?
Oh, poor kid. That's so funny. You caught that too? Because I was like, hey, Drew Dickler, if you're listening, man, great.
Shout out, man. Good job, dude.
I'd give you a solid 4.
Okay.
Solid 4 giant trash bag burritos. But like, yeah, it was because this was a labor of love. This wasn't something that they just shot over like 6 months. I mean, it was a years in the making type of thing. And they had to hike with the dudes when they were doing their fighting, and they had to go some not so nice places.
Some gnarly scenarios, man. Fire takes a turn. You got to get in the trucks and go quick. Go.
It's a story. We all know about the wildfires in California and how that state's burning.
I've seen them firsthand, man.
But like what goes into fighting them and what these guys do and bring to the table was definitely admirable in my opinion. So watch it if you got HBO Max. Definitely worth your time. And Jay's turn is next for Dark Side of the Stream. What are we listening to? Or what are we watching? Excuse me.
I was gonna go with something new, and I decided to go with a throwback because I just happened to see the title written down somewhere recently. We're going down a avenue we've never gone down, and it's a wacky street. It's on Hulu. Wrinkles the Clown.
Didn't we do this one already?
I don't think we did. Did
we? Are you sure?
I don't know.
Are we sure? Didn't?
Oh no!
Are you
Controversy.
Sure? Hold on. We're gonna look this up. Look this up.
I thought there was no way we did Wrinkles.
I think we did. Hold on. Gotta go back. This is why Mike keeps everything. This may have been one where we decided to do. We were gonna do it.
Okay, perfect.
But then
Wrinkles.
We decided like there was
Wrinkles.
like I saw something or Jay saw something.
Wrinkles the Clown. Watch. A lot of times we'll call an audible midweek because something's so amazing or topical. Yeah.
There's something we gotta do this one. So that may have been all right.
Wrinkles the Clown. Watch the trailer. The trailer alone will freak you out.
If you've not seen Wrinkles, you need to check it out.
Did you see it, Mike?
Oh, yeah,
did you already watch it? Okay.
Yeah. I'll rewatch it
because it's about a creepy clown that parents can hire to scare the kids if they're acting bad, and he is a creepy clown.
Yeah, he is. It's a creepy story, and if you pay this guy, you're kind of creepy too. Always, you can stream these live on YouTube, Facebook every Thursday at 9. Download it as a podcast, or listen to us live every Thursday morning 9 a.m.
Or we can come over to your house and just hang out and talk with you for an hour as well.
Get baked, make trash bag burritos, and watch documentaries.
Dude.
We need to sell that. We need to figure out how to sell that.
That could be the win. Get to watch a documentary with Mike and Jay.
With Mike and Jay.
They
we'll
get to
make
come to your house
and watch a documentary.
The worst roommate ever, Mike and Jay.
Dark Side of the Stream. I'm Mike the Intern. This is Jay Stevens reminding you that we watch movies,
documentaries,
so you don't have to. It's Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.